What's up, bees? It is just me today, Britton. Britt is actually in Mexico living her best life. I think she's on the golf course right now, in a well-deserved vacation for her. So I'm missing her here in Reno, but definitely happy that she's taking some time to spend with her family and just recharge, reset, and enjoy life because she's been working so hard lately. Today, our episode is about not giving a fuck. And I know that sounds kind of abrasive. And when we say that, we're not talking about, being lackadaisical in life and not caring and not showing up. What we're talking about is kind of, fucks equals energy and being selective on where we put our energy throughout the day because it runs out. And as much as we want to drink Red Bulls and 5-Hour Energy and coffee all day, our energy runs out by the end of the day, no matter who you are. And so just being selective and very mindful about where you put your energy and where you put your cares and how much that affects you progressing your life forward. This episode was really fun to record, and I'm so excited for you guys to listen to it. I hope that it will be beneficial for you. And I don't really have anything to report. So without further ado, we're going to get into the episode.
So it recently came up that a friend of mine was interested in learning how to not give a fuck. And it was adorable because she said that she tried to find a podcast on it. So she searched how to not give a fuck on Spotify. And she said not a lot came up. So she said you should try to do some sort of podcast on it and see, because it would have been helpful to know how to not give a fuck. And she thinks that I don't give a fuck.
Well, she noticed in recent times that you are acting differently and you seem more at peace, and she equated that to you not
giving a fuck.
Yes.
And I said, all right, let it be us that does it, because I am fresh out of fucks these days.
Let it be me.
I don't give a fuck. I don't care about anything anymore. And our producer was there for that conversation, and Christian loved the idea too, and he was like, he's a big fan of the book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. And so I personally haven't read it, but we do have a couple references in here from it. But the general concept is it's not about not giving a fuck as a whole, but choosing the fucks you give. So for the sake of this not being the most explicit episode we've ever released, we're really just talking about not caring and being more disinterested in the things / people that are not filling our cups up.
Totally. We're so inundated these days with information. From the moment that we wake up till the moment that we close our eyes to go to sleep, we are inundated with just stimulus and information. And we decided that practicing disinterest in the things that were not impacting us directly is the best way to approach this topic of not giving a fuck. So it's oh, I don't really have anything to do with that. So we just aren't interested in it. And we, even though it's still in front of our face and we're still stimulated by it, we're just meh. But the definition of disinterest has two parts: lack of interest in something and the state of not being influenced by personal involvement in something. So being impartial.
I love this so much. I'd like to say that as someone who tries to have a very tough exterior, I actually care so much about literally everything. I care if you're okay, if you're being fed, how you're being fed. Can I feed you? How can I help you?
So nice.
I genuinely want to help everybody. It's and I have to really check myself. And that's been a big part of me not giving a fuck, is because certain people don't appreciate when you give so much of yourself to them. And that kind of gives you that cringe feel where you're ooh, don't like that feeling at all.
Right.
That made me feel super cringe. And that's just as simple as what I realize is if people don't thank me for the things that I do, then I just won't be doing those things for them anymore. And I don't expect a lot from people. I do expect a thank you. I think I expect manners. That's all. And so that was really a big realization for me, is just you know, because I give so many fucks and I constantly find myself overthinking if what I said was too harsh, because while I do care so much, I know that I can be really harsh. Like my personality can be pretty like straight to the point, I think, and that can be taken as harsh by people. But I think that I overthink like how that impacts people. I don't have a lot of emotions behind what I say, but that doesn't mean that I don't care. So what I realized lately is that no matter what I do for some people, it will never be enough. And I refuse to deplete myself for other people. And when I was a good housewife, I didn't make enough money. When I made enough money, I wasn't a good housewife. When I take people to concerts, feed them, help them, do labor for them, it doesn't make them like me more. It doesn't make them like care. It doesn't mean that they're going to return the favor. And you know what? They don't owe me anything. Like that's also kind of fucked up for me to expect that of them. Right. And so, you know, I think you just get to the point where you're like, this is a mindset thing. Like I need to shift my mindset. I get to help people because I enjoy doing that. But if I for 1 second feel a lack of appreciation for something now that I've done for other people, I'm out. Like I'm just not doing it. And that's the comfort zone for me, I think. Like that's the space where I'm like, yeah, I cannot give a fuck about this because I know that I did the right thing. And I know that I did this with the intention that like, I want to give to you in a nice way, but I deserve like the human kindness of a thank you. And if you cannot provide that, then I don't have to continue to help you.
Right.
So,
and I think it goes back to like, give to people without expecting anything in return, but at the same time, like being confident in your decision to not give after someone has burned you, and just like being confident in the fucks that you do give.
Exactly.
And it's like being very deliberate with them. And like when you're confident in yourself and like what you've done, then you sit back and you're like, I'm not going to do that. And you don't think twice about it. You make the decision, you move on.
And I think like what you're talking about in confidence is really comes down to like knowing your worth. And I think that's another big thing that has changed for me is I'm not desperately trying to get the attention of people anymore. Like I just genuinely don't care. I know my values and I know like what I've come here to do and what my goals and intentions are. And if you want to be a part of that, I'd be more than happy to bring you along for the ride. But like if you're not like, or if you're not appreciative of it or whatever, like then get off the train. Like I don't, you know what I mean? Like I just.
Well, and yeah, you validate yourself enough.
Yeah.
So the more that you can learn to validate yourself, the more you can step away from the people pleasing. And not that you are people pleasing. I mean, I think that maybe it's just natural in both of us to, I mean, I know this is, maybe I'm just speaking for myself. I want people to be comfortable. I want people to feel good about themselves. I truly go out of my way and it is genuine.
Yeah.
I don't go around trying to win people over, but more just trying to like make them feel better.
Yep.
It's a natural instinct I have. I think it's very genuine. I just want to help people.
Yeah.
I'm a giver. But at the same time, it's like validating yourself so you can step away from the people pleasing and the wasted energy on things that you don't need to care about or that aren't serving you. And so kind of just being selective where you channel your fucks. And to me, I think that fucks equal energy.
Yeah.
And so we have talked about countless times on the podcast, but if this is your first episode, you know, we say that every day we wake up and we are like a phone, like our phone battery. So we charged it over the night. And so we wake up and like throughout the day, whatever we give our energy to, our battery level is going to go down. And we only have so much of it to give. So if we, you know, waste it on decision making on things that don't matter, or, you know, our brain power is going to work, or our relationships, or there's, you know, an incident that flares up throughout the day that is emotional, that pulls from the battery. Love takes energy. So even if it's a really positive thing, our events that we show up at, work, you know, anything like that is going to pull the battery. It's going to drain the battery. It's going to pull your energy. It's going to pull your fucks. So being very selective on what we give our energy to and where we spend that precious battery power.
Yeah. And you know, this is so interesting because as you're saying this, I'm like, we started the battery conversation from like episode 1, maybe 2, I don't know. And then we started to learn about human design. When you think about that, and I'm just sitting here looking at Christian and like also thinking about us, we have literally when we wake up, that like overnight charge of sleep, that's our battery for the day until we sleep again. And so as projectors, like that's literally how that works. We don't get like, there's nothing that we can go do that like recharges us or like gives us a little bit of juice. That isn't how that works. Like we have to literally go take a nap or like truly rest in order to get any of that juice back. Whereas like someone like Christian, who's a generator, if he goes and does the things that he loves, he might have access to more. But again, that's going back and doing the things that you love. So Christian loving Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck makes so much sense to me because he's like, I'm only going to do the things that light me up.
Right.
Because those things provide me more energy and mean that I can keep doing those things.
Right.
Like I watch him and he's like a fucking Energizer bunny around this place. And I don't have that. I'm just like, what? Like after we recorded 2 episodes today, I'm going to be like, I'm literally thinking, I'm not going to be able to do the next thing I need to do. Like I'm going to need to go take a nap.
100%. And I know that about our podcast. So I give myself a little bit of leeway time after.
Yeah.
And usually I have appointments typically, but I usually try to schedule them so that I don't have to be like that present.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you're so right. Like our battery gets charged overnight with sleep. So like, for example, today I didn't sleep much last night. So my battery is like half full.
Yeah.
And I only have so much to give today. So these podcasts are going to be a lot. Fitness is something that drains the battery while it re-energizes us for the longevity, for the long term. Like our battery strength, I guess, or the health of our battery will be stronger. Yeah. You know how like you have a phone, like the longer you have a phone, the battery starts to go. Yeah. It's like that. But like if you work out every day, like the health of your battery is going to last longer.
Yep.
And like you're able to get that sleep that will allow you to wake up and be more fresh every single day with like a stronger battery power. Right.
That is such a good analogy.
So last night, it's probably at a quarter, to be honest. And so it's like, I'm going to have to be very selective today on what phone calls I take because sometimes phone calls drain me.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And certain phone calls, I'm going to have to be very selective on, meetings. What time I go to bed, meetings. And we have ladies' night on Thursday.
So you got to gear up.
So I have a lot to do for that. So those are my priorities for today. And then I have a friend that's going through a really hard time that is in my very close circle. And so I have to be sure that I reserve enough energy to be there for her, enough fucks to be there for her later today. And so when I look at my day, that shows me that there's going to be some of my 5 things that are like the most important to me, which we're going to get into, that are going to take a hit. And it can't be my business today. I already did my fitness, so it's already drained. It can't be the podcast today. Yeah. It can't be my friend. So it's probably going to be John, and I'm probably not going to make a healthy dinner. Right. So I know that going into it. And it's like, instead of beating myself up for it, it's like my battery's drained. I need to put myself in bed and just like, it's going to be a takeout and like a, hey babe, how are you? Type day.
And I think that has been the biggest shift for me in knowing human design. And I think we're not going to include that in the practical application because I know not everybody's as like excited about human design as we are. But the reason that I love it so much is because it aligns so much with what I've always known to be true about myself. And then it's really helped me with the practical application of my energy. Like, how am I truly going to go forward in this world? And then you start to realize that when you lean into your intuition, mine is instinctual. I hired Lauren because she asked me for advice on something. I didn't realize she was looking for a job. When I realized she was looking for a marketing coordinator job, I kept thinking, you keep thinking you want to do a marketing coordinator. Like, you keep thinking that in your brain. And I was like, you know what? Do you want to come work for me? Hired her pretty much on the spot. Was able to pay her what she wanted to be paid. And then decided like, okay, gonna bring her in. I bring her in after I do. And then I was like, hey, can I find out what your human design is? She's a generator. We always keep generators around ourselves because I can't fucking do it. Like, if I had another projector in my business, we work as like a partnership because for the podcast and things like that. But imagine if it was just you and I running a business. No,
well, we would, first of all, we do way too much of the same things. Right. Be too much of the same. Yeah. And it would not work. Yeah, our conversations and the podcast works out fine.
Yeah.
But overall,
who would do the physical work all day long? It wouldn't be me.
Yeah, you're so good at it. So Britt, why intentional candles for mental health?
Because building healthy habits around your intentions can have a positive impact on not only your mental health, but your overall productivity. I wanted to create a premium non-toxic candle that reminded my customers that life is complex and we can live in the and space. Talking about mental health and mental illness doesn't always have to be scary or depressing. Sometimes it can be fun and enlightening. We are wildly unique and expansive creatures, as we've talked about on the podcast before, and we can be many things in a day. And sometimes we just need to light a candle to remind ourselves who the fuck we are and what we are capable of.
I 100% agree with that. Plus, your candles smell so good and they fill up my whole house. I hear you have something special for our listeners.
I do. I have a little promo for our bees. Y'all can head to havenandflux.com and use code BOB20 at checkout to get 20% off your order. I hope y'all enjoy. All right, so you guys know that I live for Western wear, specifically my boots and my hats. So I want to talk a little bit about a brand new brand that is new to Reno, Nevada, and is from our beautiful babe over here. So Britton, tell us what Murdock's is.
Well, first of all, hats have been one of my truest loves since I was a kid. I swear I had a hat on in every single picture as a child. And then they quickly became a BLFT signature. We couldn't find the hat that was just perfect. And so we decided to design our own. Murdock's is a family brand that started in the great state of Nevada in the 1950s. My great-grandparents started Murdock's Western wear. Fast forward 60 years, the Murdock sisters recreate this homegrown brand by curating a hat line that embodies the spirit of Nevada. We were raised in this amazing state, and we watched a Nevadan's ability to put in a hard day's work on the ranch, followed by a hard night's play at the casinos. We pulled inspiration from the everyday beauty around us, the sunsets, Lake Tahoe, the mountains, and the forest.
I'm not gonna lie, I have full body chills right now because you hit so many nails on the head just now. Like, there's nothing that screams Reno, Nevada more than family and community and a little bit of Western. So the fact that you put all of our favorite things together and then you made it all about like bringing back the roots of your family brings me so much joy. Y'all need to check out Murdock's hats. Where do you find them?
Murdock'sHatsandApparel.com.
We love it. Go shop, y'all.
You're enjoying this episode on Angel Phoenix Productions Podcast Network. To explore a complete lineup of quality programs and media production services, head on over to angelphoenix.com or like our Facebook page at facebook.com/Angel Phoenix Productions.
I'm drained right now. Like, I leave for Mexico on Saturday with my family, and I told my cousin, I was like, to be clear, I don't drink very much anymore, and like, I'm just gonna want to relax. And she heard that because she hasn't hung out with me in a long time. She heard that as, yeah, all I want to do is drink margaritas and read books. And I was like, no, Cassidy, I said that I don't really drink anymore. So
well, you're like, so my battery is like half, and alcohol, like when you drink alcohol, it drains the battery because you don't get to recharge it as fully.
I feel like it puts me in a false state. Mm-hmm. It puts me in a false state of who I actually am and takes me out of alignment. And then I start doing things. I think I have more energy than I do. I push myself too hard. I try to do the people pleasing thing. I'm highly emotional. I had 7 shots of tequila on Saturday night with all my cousins. And I'm not kidding you. I think I hugged every single person in the bar and told them that I loved them.
I mean, that's spreading a lot of positivity.
I mean,
I love a good drunk girl love, but I understand what you're saying. And to go back to like the projector generator into just personality types. So everybody is a different personality type. Everybody channels their energy in different ways. Human design is so amazing at that because it allows us to recognize how we best spend our energy and how we can be most efficient in our lives. I had no idea what human design was until Britt brought it to my attention. And now she reminds me, like, I'll tell her stuff. Like sometimes I'll get caught in a whirlwind where I'm giving way too many fucks that aren't on the 5 things that I actually need to prioritize. And I'm like, I'm doing this, and this. She's like, you need to go home and take a nap. Yeah. She was like, you need to be alone. You're way too drained right now. You need to go home and take a nap. And I really appreciate that about you because it just, when you know how to efficiently move throughout each day and prioritize what matters, your life becomes a whole lot less complicated.
Absolutely. It really helped me also, like, I mean, everybody knows that, like, I'm single, and it helped me also being like, yeah, I don't have enough energy to date. Like, I don't have enough energy to date, and I'm okay with that. And your shoulds are not my shoulds. And also, I don't live in the should land. I live in, like, what is happening right now. And what is happening right now is that I have a business, I have a new employee, I have a podcast, and I have, like, wild amounts of family shit going on. Just, like, activities and stuff like that.
And timing is everything.
Yeah. If it's going to happen, it's going to fucking happen. And I'm not going to be the one to go. Also, I'm a projector. It's not meant for me to go out and search for it. No. I need to sit back and just do nothing.
And right, exactly. And when the timing comes, and it'll be the right timing, and you'll be ready for it. And then maybe you can start channeling your energy towards that when it makes sense. Right now, your plate is so full.
I also shifted my mindset. I have the privilege, and this, I remember this, me being like, you need just Britain time. Is what I think I said. I said you just need Britain time.
Right.
Because I was trying to get across that, like, I know what it's like to live in a house with another person. Like, John is not that fucking person that I lived with. Like, totally a different situation. Right. But, like, to not have a space that you can go to as a projector to just be alone. I am so blessed in that. Like, when I go home, it means I am all alone. I have my thoughts. I have now a really new comfy couch. Like, I have my giant comfy bed. Like, I've also now designed my house to be extremely comfortable and, like, overly cloud-like comfy on all the surfaces.
Right.
So I'm like living my best, truest life and self.
Well, and recharging.
And when I go home, I don't have to, like, and this is not a bad thing. Relationships are great. And I can't wait to hopefully have one someday. But I don't have to I'm not obligated to go home and say, like, hi, how was your day?
Right. And
sometimes that's nice.
Oh, well, I'm sure. And when you find the right person that clicks with you, that balances you, it's more of like, I get to go home and I look forward to it. John is like, we just celebrated our 5-year anniversary last weekend, and, like, we've grown together so much. We kind of did, like, a rehash, and, like, we know each other so well that like he balances me. And I do the same for him, but we kind of, like, provide that extra little, like, boost power charge, if you will. Like,
totally.
He will say the right things when I'm completely depleted and I, like, feel like I cannot go on. He'll say the right things. He, like, words of affirmation that he knows will get me going.
Right.
And he, like, so, but I totally understand what you're saying.
But also, he sees you and he knows you and he loves you and he's invested in you and he respects you. I've never had that in a partner before. So for me, it's not worth the risk to bring that in.
I'm just like, so I'm, like, amazed right now because look at how amazing you are in your life.
Oh.
And you've never had that. You are successful and you are this, like, positive being, and you have done it all on your own in spite of actually having people pull you down. Yeah. So imagine when you have someone who's running by your side, lifting you up. Like, I'm
going to run for president.
Girl.
I'm kidding. I would never. My ex one time told me that he couldn't run for president because he was married to a loudmouthed brown girl. And I stayed married for, I think, 2 more years after that.
Oh, yeah. My God.
No, I do a lot in spite of people, and that's not, I don't recommend that, but I am proud of where I am today. But so let's get back on top of fucks that we do not give. And as you can see, I'm truly unable to give any fucks because I've gone through so much shit that that's like, what am I going to do? You know what I mean? So
let's talk about the 5 pillars.
Yeah.
Things. Okay.
So I think the most important thing is to start with your choosing what you care about, right? What the fucks that you give. Okay. So if you and there's 2 pieces to this. There's your 5 pillars, which are your goals and your, like, true core values. And then you wake up each day and you have 5 fucks you can give for the whole day. That's your battery, right? Then what are those tasks that you're going to focus on that align with your goals and your values?
So give us an example of, like, what your goals and values are. And then give us an example of, like, your day, and then just kind of break that down a little bit.
Yeah.
With examples.
I had this conversation with my cousin last night. And she is also really into, like, you know, spirituality and self-help and all of that stuff, and, you know, furthering herself in her career. And she has 5 really well laid out, and, like, mine. And that's what brought us to, and we connected those dots because of her. And I think for me, I've always had three, like my three core values. And so for me, my three core values are family, freedom, which would, to me, that's all encompassing of time, finances, and like adventure sort of stuff, like being able to just escape to wherever I want. And then health and wellness and spirituality. So I guess those are all like those fall into one bucket to me. So to me, if I wake up each morning, what brings me financial freedom is my business and time freedom. That covers both of those. So maybe let's add career in there, right? My career and the legacy I'm leaving behind. So if Haven and Flux is my number one priority, and the values that I've placed behind that are so strong and deep in my core, then I think it's really important that my 5 facts or my 5 fucks in the day are primarily driven towards that one thing. So like today, another big part of it is like obviously the podcast. I love being able to share my experiences with other people in hopes that they learn from, like, don't marry a man who calls you a loudmouth brown girl would probably be a good start for people. If somebody calls you that, don't marry them. So I think that like that gives me a lot of joy. So this is a priority to me. I want to make sure that we get this done. I love that we're consistent with it. I love that it gives back to our businesses. Family, to me, friendship is really, really important, but I don't keep a lot of friends. That's like acquaintances that, you have different levels of relationships. Britton to me is family at this point. Like she's within the 5 groups of people that like, or 5 people in my life that I keep close enough that like I would prioritize other people, her over other people. And so I think that like this is a priority. After this, I need to go do like, Haven and Flux stuff. We can get into the nitty gritty, but I think that the big important thing is if somebody else brings their shit into my access, into my world, access wasn't the right word, but like if somebody else brings their shit into my space, that is not a fuck I can give.
Right.
Social media is not a fuck I can give. Okay. Right. Like unless it's literally providing me value and aligns with my core values, then I don't care.
So I'm just like breaking this down. So you have like the 5 things that you care about. For me, I just saying this off the top of my head, so don't hold me to this, but it'd be like family, business, spirituality, health and wellness, and
freedom,
abundance, right? Let's just say those things. And so every day is going to look different because on Mondays, typically I prioritize business. On Sundays, typically I prioritize family.
Yeah, I love
and
this.
So, and then there's a little bit of prioritizing each piece in every single day. Fitness, health, and wellness, that's going to be part of almost every single day. If I'm traveling for business and I have a really early flight, maybe fitness doesn't fit in that day. But like it's just continually balancing your life, but keeping these pillars or your energy focused or your fucks on the things that you care most about in your life or your main goals in life. And sometimes I think of goals as something that like we need to achieve. Well, for me, it's like family can be a goal, and it's not something that it's just maybe spending more time and being present with them.
Right.
Today. And so it's like just prioritizing those. Your battery drains fast and every day is going to look different, but keeping that balance and keeping your battery healthy and alive are more like the long-term goals, right?
Well, and you get to choose. I think that's the biggest thing. You get to choose. It's your fucking life. Like pick what you want to care about and then get after that thing. I recently was talking to a friend and he was like, dude, the last 2 months, everything has changed for me. Like my priorities, like all my friends are out drinking and want to carry on and have a good time. And he's like, I'm struggling because I don't think I want to do that anymore. And that will change. So your fucks 2 months ago might not be the same fucks that you have today. And that's okay.
And that's healthy and that's good. You don't want to be stuck. You should continually be evolving, continually be reassessing where your battery life is going, where your battery energy is going. And if it's not serving you or helping people around you, then what are you doing?
I mean, and Ed Milet says like, average people measure goals 1 time a year, maybe 2 times a year. Successful and like really motivated people, they measure their goals every single day, every week, every month, and they're changing. And it's important to do that. Like, and that's the point right there is like, choose your fucks. It's okay if they change. They should change.
It's good to change. And it's so hard, like you were saying at the very beginning, when you were giving so much energy into one thing, you felt like you're like letting another thing down. That's where the balance comes in. And that's where you really have to change your priorities. At some point in the near future, I'm going to have to prioritize my health and my long-term goals over my short-term business goals.
Yep.
And I know that's coming and I have anxiety about it because I'm like, how am I going to make it all work? Well, you know what? I have to keep my priorities very clear and be okay if something happens that I can't change because of what I am currently prioritizing. And, you know, that's life. And you can have it all, but at different times in your life, things are going, it's like, it's not a straight line is what I'm saying.
No.
It's very rough mountainous terrain, right?
If it's a straight line, you're not doing it right.
Right.
Or maybe you're doing it right for you and that's your mediocre life, but I just don't think our listeners are listening to this podcast because they want to live a mediocre
if you've
life.
Landed here, you're not trying to be mediocre.
Yeah, so your straight line, you gotta go ahead and find a mountain somewhere. Or a hill. Start with maybe start with a hill.
Right.
Britton, tell us what BLFT is all about, because you know it's my favorite place to shop.
The Biggest Little Fashion Truck is a family-owned and operated boutique on wheels. We got started 5 years ago because I had this deep desire to make women feel more confident. And I found out that one of the many ways you can enhance your confidence was through clothing. Hence our why, confidence through clothing.
We love some confidence in our lives.
We pride ourselves in bringing back that old school expertise in customer service by providing an experience, whether it be at our pop-up events around town.
We love the pop-up events. I'm at those with her all the time and they are fire.
Or we have a storefront, the Babe Cave. We just want each and every babe to feel better and be ready to be seen after shopping with us. Shop us online at the Babe Cave or our pop-up events at local businesses around town. We can't wait to see you. And a little something special we have for you. Use promo code BOB20 for 20% off your purchase online.
Hell yeah, I'm gonna be shopping today.
You're enjoying this episode on Angel Phoenix Productions Podcast Network. To explore a complete lineup of quality programs and media production services, head on over to angelphoenix.com or like our Facebook page at facebook.com/Angel Phoenix Productions.
I 100% believe in my soul that like we are on earth to make a difference. Every single person has like a superpower within them. Whatever makes them, whatever makes you is your superpower, and channeling that. Like I know that we're all so aware of what we're bad at. We all know our insecurities. We all know what we suck at, but it's like finding what you're good at and putting so many fucks into that will help you help other people. And like, that's, I think it's a God thing. I mean, you guys know that I'm very spiritual like that, but I mean, I've recently had to tap into that. Like, how can I best help other people? Because that's what I am good at. And that's what I love to do. So whatever the vehicle is that I do that right now, it comes in the form of a pink fashion truck, but like whatever the vehicle comes, that's what I'm going to give my fucks to.
Right. And I think that like, it's important to note, you know, we just talked about like your fucks should change. Okay. But as things come up in your day, this is our next practical application is like, can it be changed? Like when you're going to have things come up in your day where you're like, okay, that's a disaster. Like, I think we can all say we've gone through a pandemic. We've gone through like political chaos. Like, can you personally make a change towards the thing that's been thrown at you? And if you cannot, it is not yours.
It is wasted battery life, y'all.
It's wasted battery life.
It's wasted energy.
Don't waste your energy. My sweet baby angel mother watches the news every single night. And I tell, and then she'll call me and she'll be upset by the weather or the fucking local news situation that's going on.
Because it's always gaslighting.
And I'm like,
they're gaslighting something every time you turn on the TV. And that's the stimulus that I'm talking about that we have from the second we open our eyes to the second we close it. You're driving, you're listening to a great podcast. You see, so sad, someone homeless on the side of the street. You look into their eyes. That's so draining.
yeah,
Can you change that physically right now going 50 miles per hour, McCarran? Probably not.
no,
You know,
literally
it's like,
cannot.
so it's like, why are we wasting our battery? You know what I mean? It's
Can
like
you
that.
truly impact? I think Jesse is a perfect example. Jesse saw an opportunity. Something was presented to him in the space of a giant orange building. And if you go back to that episode, you can listen to him talk about that. And he thought to himself, nobody else wants to do this. This is going to be a fucking nightmare, but I'm going to do it anyway because there's an opportunity to make a huge change here for the homeless community. And he did it.
Mm-hmm.
He did that. Do I want to talk about my brother's mental illness every single day, especially after the nightmares I get every single night? No, I don't. I don't want to talk about it, but I do it anyway because it's important that we talk about it.
Right.
I think that by me talking about it, I can make a change.
Exactly.
But I can't literally, and then let's be clear.
But you're very, very honest with yourself about your brother's condition and about his mental disease that he has. You cannot change his brain.
Mm-mm.
And so you're like, I can't change him, but what can you put your fucks to? What can you put your energy to change that situation?
Resources for him, ones that he doesn't get provided.
Right.
And I think that's the thing is like, can I fix the and we've talked about this on the episode with Nicole, and I didn't expect to have that conversation. I didn't like listening back to that, I'll be honest. But like, yeah, I have to mourn a loss of growing up with a sibling.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm in this reality. I now have a new brother, a different type of brother that is foreign to me. And I have to learn how to have a relationship with that. And quite frankly, he's not always comfortable with the relationship. So I have to respect that. I can't change it. That's on him. And until he's ready, then I have to accept that and move forward with my life.
Right.
And that is the whole point is like, if you cannot change the thing and it is not directly impacting you in some way, step away, release it. It's not yours.
Yes, exactly. Which you have done a really good job on it because you could be wasting so much energy on what could have been or what should have been. And like, that is a wrong that has happened to you in your life. That's the shitty hand that you were dealt in this life. And, you know, every single person has their own examples of it. And you being so transparent and being able to talk about your brother shows your true strength and is helping a lot of people right now. But you knowing that you can't change the past. You're not going to sit here bitter and say, why me? Now my brother is not the same. And like, it could be so great if we could go camping and he was just normal. And like, we could, you know,
oh, I've done
all
it.
of those things.
This is what my nightmares are made of.
Right. So, but you're not wasting your energy on it.
Right.
Instead, you're like, this is what it is. How can I make this situation the best possible situation that it can be?
And I think that kind of leads us into like the next thing, right? Is like you look at what I do, right? And you have to question my motives, right? Like, why do I do it? Why am I doing the things that I do? And I think that we can look at the history of me over the time of this podcast. Obviously, like not a lot of people can go back and see the stories that I posted a year ago, but those were interesting. Like, you know, and I think we all see it, right? The girl who just went through a breakup and all of a sudden you see a shit ton of selfies and she's looking like, honestly, she's looking fire. You know that she is. You're like, okay, this girl stepped up. But why is she posting those selfies? Is she posting the selfies because she honestly feels good about herself and she's happy? Or is she posting those selfies because she's trying to get somebody's attention? And for me, and I don't know the motive. I don't know. That's a genuine question. Like, I think that belongs to the person posting the photo. That has nothing to do with me. But it had everything to do with me because I was posting the photos because I knew all of my ex-boyfriend's friends were watching me. And I wanted them to go back to him and say, yo, your ex-girlfriend is snatched. And they probably did. No.
For sure they did. So mission accomplished.
But you know what? That was a waste of my energy.
Yeah.
That was a waste of my fucks. I had 5 fucks to give and my business took a hit for it. And I had to like reorganize what I was doing and redo my focus. I felt unhinged. It didn't make me feel good. So I think, you know, what is the result you're trying to get out of something each time that you do something? So with social media, we have the ability to get a lot of people's attention pretty quickly. But why are you posting something?
Right. And I think that it just bringing it back to those 5 pillars or goals or values that you have in your life and saying, okay, is this going to serve any one of those things?
Yeah.
If it doesn't, then maybe you shouldn't be spending your precious battery power on it.
Yep. And then in real life, are you giving to get, or are you giving because it's part of who you are and it brings you joy?
Right.
Like in that, I think you have to do it as it comes, right? Like sometimes I give and it feels really good, and other times I don't have it to give, so I'm not going to do it.
Right. And I think that's something that you have to continually check yourself. I mean, I know I do.
Yeah.
You know, and also just, again, preserve the battery power.
Yeah.
Because innately I'm like, I'll be there in a second. It's like, wait, is this what's best for every single, or is someone very close to me going to suffer because of this?
Right.
You preserving your battery and showing up as the best version of yourself every single day not only helps you, but it serves every single person around you.
Mm-hmm. I also think it's really important to think about the people that are watching you.
Mm-hmm.
Like who, and this is not one of the practical applications, but like, I think about this now, and I think maybe the podcast heightened this, but like, you know, Lauren's mom listens to our podcast.
Oh, wow.
So what's up, Lauren's mom? And also, like, how do I want to present myself to Lauren's mom? Well, not like chaos.
Right.
Not like absolutely unhinged tin that used to exist back in the day. Like, that's not who I want to be. Like,
well, that's not who you are.
That's not who I actually am. That was who I was being because I let other people tell me what I should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And because I was insecure at the time, because I had gone through something that made me insecure, and because I wasn't listening to my instincts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's get into the next one. Consider the source.
People just have like we talked about earlier, people have so many opinions on your life, but they never are the ones that have to reap the consequences, and they aren't you. So consider the source of the person who you're taking advice from. And I think this is huge. I think that what we put into ourselves, like in our minds, is just like the freaking food that we either we're nourishing our minds and we are progressing ourselves, or we're killing our minds, you know? And it's the same thing with our body. It's like either we're fueling positivity or we're fueling the disease in our body. So, and believe me, I'm not saying that I'm a super healthy eater, but what you feed your mind is so important. And you have to consider the source of what people are telling you. And I'm not saying this is like be a skeptical of every single thing that someone tells you, because sometimes it's criticism that you need to hear. But I'm just saying, like, consider the source. Is this someone that I respect? Is this someone who has a life that reflects what my goals are?
I think I have a really good example of this, and I think that it's going to sound like I'm putting myself down, and in no way, shape, or form I am. But I am divorced and single. You should not be taking marriage advice from me. Like, I don't think that, like, and that would be something to consider the source. So that was what I started to do, is like, when somebody would give me advice, because a lot of people were giving me advice, they were really coming at me with their shit. And I was like freaking, and you remember, I was like freaking out. I was like, this person said I should do this, and this person with my business, with whatever. People who don't own businesses are giving me advice on how to run my business. Okay, so
oh yeah, well
yeah, so I'm not like, so I
because
literally,
the candle business is like super easy to run, and it's like anyone can pour candles, right? That's exactly what people think.
Also, it's very cut and dry. Like, you're not going to have to scrape up carpet adhesive or paint walls, or like, it's just really cut and dry. You're just going to only pour candles, and then people are just going to magically want to buy them. But I think that the point there is that, like, the thing that I started doing that really helped me was when somebody was giving me advice, in the moment of them giving me advice, I would still listen. I'd be kind. I'd be respectful. But in my mind, I'd think, do I want the life that this person has? Or does this person have the life that I aspire to have?
Right.
No.
You have to vet what you let sink into your heart and your brain, and what you let change your behavior. So like, you're just like constantly sifting through the bullshit to get like that fine gold, like that good shit at the bottom.
Right.
And that's what you should take. And I don't necessarily agree with you when you said that you shouldn't be someone that's giving marriage advice. Just because your marriage failed, I think that you probably have the best advice. And I don't even want to say failed, but I'm just saying, like, I respect you as a whole as a person. Right. And so, yeah, if you in your ability to see things for what they are. And so like, I don't necessarily agree with that. It doesn't have
That's fair.
Like if for some reason our businesses implode, does that mean that we have no good advice to offer someone? I don't think that at all. That's I think, true. In fact, we're going to have way more advice and there's way more to learn from someone who's gone through it and failed. So I don't agree with you on that.
That's fair.
However, I understand what you're saying.
That's up. Yeah.
Look at the person as a whole. Maybe not their individual wins or losses, but as a whole, are they a good person? Are they someone that you want to be like? I'm like, are you a godly person? Do you even have morals? Like, where is this source coming from? Like, I feel people in my soul, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to listen to that, and that was hurtful,
right?
And yeah, I'm seriously not going to take that in, and like, I think that you should go say a prayer, seriously, so that you go to heaven.
My favorite is, a man would never want to marry a woman like you. And I was like,
wow,
thank you so much for your time. I'm gonna go.
Wow. Yeah, no, they say like, people have no idea what they're saying, and that's another thing that I think that the art of not giving a fuck is like, don't take yourself so seriously, because people, I mean, it's like, just let it roll off. If you don't take yourself so seriously, then you're like, okay, yeah, ha, funny. You know, You're able to laugh at yourself. You're able to joke about it. And you and yourself are confident enough to know that that's not you.
Right.
And there's a million people that would want to marry you, and a million people that are, whoever gets to marry you is going to be one blessed son of a bitch.
Did you start the line somewhere for the people who want to marry me and I didn't know about it?
Well,
they're just lined up somewhere?
Yeah, they are.
The fuck?
They are.
I'm kidding. I think this also brings us to our next thing, which is like, level up the people in your circle. The person who told me a man would never want to marry a woman like you. Yeah, you're fucking done. Like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, we're done here. This is not, you're clearly not in the space that I want to be in. So I'm out of this situation. Thank you for your time. Appreciate you. Moving on.
Right.
And I think that like, even when you look at your friendships and things like that, people who waste your time, hours and hours on the phone talking bullshit about things that don't matter.
They're black hole for your battery life. They're just sucking your battery. Black hole. And do you know what? They are so miserable with their life because they're so unaware that you potentially could have something going on in your life that you might need to hang up the freaking phone. So put boundaries up and level up your circle like we talked about. Do these people align with the 5 pillars that you've created for yourself, the 5 things that matter most to you, the 5 goals that you have in your life? If these people don't help you get there, don't lift you on your journey, they're dead weight and you need to clip them off.
I also want to remind everybody that people who talk shit on other people talk shit on you. And people who talk about ambitions and goals will likely be ambitious and reach goals.
Right.
Which brings us to be about what you talk about. It validates you without anyone else being necessary in it. And this was the game changer for me. I moved into that studio and everybody, like, I was drained. I was so tired. I had so much going on. I turned that studio around. It went from like a 70s shag, weird vibe in there, carpet, like weird wallpaper, 70s inspired blinds hung up, to literally the most modern, bright space in 1.5 days. I did it all by myself. All of the labor, moving it in. Lauren came in and helped me move some of the stuff in, but for the most part, I physically moved everything in there. I designed it myself. That whole entire room is my creation.
Yeah, you should be proud.
And if anybody has shit to say about it or has shit to say about what I'm capable of, I don't even give a fuck. I don't care. Get out of my space. Don't come here then.
Well, and you didn't just talk about having a space and then let your shit sit in the space for a long time. Like, you were about what you talked about. And I think that brings so much confidence and validation to yourself. And I'm a huge proponent of not talking about things until you do them. I hate
it's a pet peeve of mine.
Yes. Me too. And everyone's always constantly trying to be like, what's next? What's more? And I keep it so vague because, to be honest, I don't want to say something and have it not happen.
Yeah.
And so, like, even sometimes in my like tight circle, I'm like, I don't talk about it until I know it's happening. And I think that allows you to be more, versatile in where you go, and more flexible, and like your mobility is so much better. And just like you can change without being like, well, I told this person this, like, no.
Well, you and I are instinctual. Our intuition is a quick hit.
Yeah.
So for us, and that's not for everybody. Some people, it's their gut or their emotions and they have to really sit with it. And I'm talking about human design again. So for us, it's instincts. And so for us, it is going to happen quick. And so we can't tell you what's going to happen 10 years from now, 5 years from now, next month, next week. We can tell you, like, we were presented this opportunity and we said yes to it because it felt right inside our bodies quickly. And so we did it. And that's what happened. It was like Christian presented me this opportunity. I kind of didn't do anything. Christian came back to me and said, hey, yo, you want to come see the space? I said, absolutely yes. Went and saw the space, said yes to the space, got the keys and turned it around in a day and a half.
Right.
And now we're up in business and running out of a nice space that honestly I can produce a lot more candles out of. So, and everybody, by the way, in those 3 days told me not to do it.
And by the way, all your fucks went into the space. And so your battery was drained. And so there might be some other areas in your life that didn't get the attention.
I was laser beam focused.
Right. So like be about what you talk about. Get into your intuition.
Yep.
Be able to trust that.
Yep. And then shamelessly and relentlessly protect your boundaries.
Yes.
And I think that this goes back to it is like everybody, and I bring up the dating thing. I don't really like, I just want to like, I think the beginning of this, I was so desperate for like whatever the fuck would pay attention to me. And like now I just seriously do not care. Like I could not give less fucks about that. Like, and I think that the change is my boundaries are up.
Your boundaries are up and you're being so selective on where your energy is going, where your fucks are going. You are only putting your energy into things that are progressing you forward, moving your business forward, moving your space forward. Whatever it is, you're being selective about that.
And I'm waiting for the invites.
And so on the outside, it looks like you don't give a fuck. When really you give so many fucks, you just give them about things that matter.
That matter, but also that are like, listen, and we need to wrap this up, but like at a certain point, I've let a couple new relationships into my space, both like friendship, mostly friendships, honestly. I've done a lot of friendship relationships and I'm starting it all there. You can come in and you can be my friend so long as you provide equal amounts of mutual respect and mutual energy into this relationship. Should I feel that energy lacks on your side, I'm going to step away. And I will wait for you to invite me back into the space. I'm not going to go like searching out. And that's in everything, in business, all of that. That's what happened with Christian in that space. It was like a thing that he was thinking about. He was like, yo, by the way, I think we might have a space for you. This is where it's going to be located. We think it's a good idea. And then it like came up again. And he was like, you're going to be in the studio. Why don't you come check it out? And then everything progressed to us being in the studio consistently and also me moving into this space here. And from there, it was like quick and made sense and it was all in alignment. So I'm not going to waste my time and my energy out there searching for shit. No. I'm going to handle what's right in front of me and what's come to be on my plate.
And yeah, put your energy towards that. What's meant for you is not going to pass you by if you are putting your energy into things that matter and you are living in alignment. So just find some peace about that.
Yep.
And if it's meant to be, it will. And, truly preserving your battery life and your fucks, putting those towards the things that are going to move you forward in life and that matter to you the most.
Yep. And with that, follow along.
Yeah.
Britt on Blast. Find us on at BLFT Reno, at Murdock Hats and Apparel, and at Haven and Flux, wherever you are on social media. If you like the show, subscribe and review Britt on Blast on whatever platform you're listening on. We appreciate y'all so much. Thank you for tuning in for another episode of this.
Cheers, y'all.
This podcast was a production of Angel Phoenix Productions. Explore more episodes of this show or other great shows on the Angel Phoenix Podcast Network by visiting angelphoenix.com. The views expressed in this show do not necessarily represent those of Angel Phoenix Productions or its advertisers and may contain language that's unsuitable for younger listeners.